Senator, always good to see you. You have said that Democrats shouldn't be, quote, freaking out over every single thing Trump does. Are you freaking out at all about any of these cabinet picks, I wonder?
Well, I mean, there's some that I would absolutely be excited to vote for, like my colleague from Florida or the representative from New York, of course. And then there's others that are just absolute trolls, just like Gates and those things. And that's why, Democrats, like Trump, that gets the kind of thing. I mean, he gets the kind of thing that he wanted, like the freak out and all of those things. And he hasn't even been, it's still not even Thanksgiving yet. And if we're having meltdowns, every tweet or every appointment and all those things, I mean, it's going to be 4 years.
Trump continues to cause a stir with some very controversial appointments ahead of moving back into the Oval Office in January. Joining me live is Professor of Political Science at the University of California, Irvine, Louis DeCipio. Louis, a very good morning to you. What have you thought of the latest appointment, just 27 years of age?
Well, the Trump White House doesn't run a traditional press operation. They don't do daily press briefings. So I'm not sure that the press secretary is really the most important person to judge the new Trump administration by. Some of the other picks are a little bit more controversial.
Let's go through a few of them. Matt Gaetz probably at the top of the list.
Absolutely. The most inexperienced attorney general in American history, if he's confirmed, and one that has some scandals overhanging him as well. So, this is one that has alienated some Republicans in the United States Senate, and it'll really be a test of whether President Trump's mandate extends to confirmation of all of his picks for his cabinet.
Yeah, and look, there'd have to be a question mark as to whether he will pass the whole Senate. And I know that there is the whole argument that, they might try to go into recess and slip them in that way, but that'd be almost unconstitutional, wouldn't it?
Well, no, it would be constitutional, but not particularly wise. The nature of a recess appointment is that the person that is in that position can serve until the end of the congressional term, but doesn't have all of the constitutional protections that a constitution or that a congressionally ratified member of the cabinet does. So you can imagine using a recess appointment for a single appointment that you need to do very quickly. But if a large share of the Trump cabinet is recess appointed, then it's not really fully a cabinet. Now, that said, in his first term, President Trump really didn't use his cabinet as a cabinet. So maybe he doesn't really care about the cabinet.
Yeah, well, what we're seeing is an obvious thread of those that have been loyal to him. Many of them are getting appointments. Robert F. Kennedy has raised eyebrows, giving the health portfolio after comments in and around vaccination, wanting to take fluoride out of the water.
Absolutely. This is another case where you have somebody proposed for a major administrative role that has no administrative experience and very little technical experience in the field. He has strong opinions about it. Now, Mr. Kennedy has raised some objections on the conservative right because of his pro-choice views, and that is anathema to some of the Trump base. So this cabinet that values loyalty, or a potential cabinet that values loyalty, isn't one that necessarily meets the political needs of a president who will be a lame duck in his second term.
It's been interesting to watch Elon Musk as well. There's almost a few articles saying that he's outstaying his welcome, but he has been given a very interesting brief.
Mr. Trump is always welcomes guests at his estate that particularly pay a rack rate. I think he should be probably getting tired of the advice he's getting from Elon Musk that isn't necessarily politically savvy and is very self-serving for Mr. Musk.
What are you expecting, Lewis? It's obviously going to be a quite a disruptive period, probably a disruptive couple of years, and we're only 2 years away again from another big vote. It's not a presidential election, but the US cycle goes 2 years where we see the whole Senate and the House looked at again.
Well, it's only a third of the Senate that is looked at every cycle, but you're absolutely right that it's the whole House of Representatives. And at the moment, the Republicans have potentially a 2 or 3 seat majority in the House of Representatives going into President Trump's second term. That means that in 2026, there will be I think a battle like we've never seen before for control of the House of Representatives. And those Republicans who have been elected in moderate districts, and there are a number of them, will be sensitive about what they need to do to hold on to their seats. They may not be as loyal as President Trump thinks they will be.
And what do you think internationally? I mean, we could sit here all day and talk about a whole variety of subjects, but the talk about the Ukraine war ending, what happens in Gaza, obviously Apex on at the moment, the whole idea of China and the tariffs.
Yeah, Mr. Trump doesn't think a lot about foreign policy. He thinks simple solutions will work with our allies and our enemies, and I think both our allies and our enemies know that that's not exactly the case. So I think President Trump is going to face challenges that he didn't expect in the international arena. I guess I'm modestly reassured by the appointment of Senator Rubio as Secretary of State. That's a much more mainstream appointment. Now, a mainstream appointment that's a little more hawkish than Mr. Trump, so there may immediately be tensions between Senator Rubio and President-elect Trump.
Absolutely. It's interesting. We won't be short of news stories over the next 4 years, that's for sure, Lewis, and I look forward to chatting with you.
I fear that's the case.
Yes, and I look forward to chatting with you. Thank you so much.